Uyo uko kuno apo pano mamuona kere nice.
Right, 19 October 2021, and today I'm joined by my usual guests, Dr. Fedias Mteneri. How are you, sir?
Good evening, Gambakwe. I'm very well, and very good evening to your viewers.
Okay, so today we're going to a very, very brief discussion, and this is to do with what happened this weekend. You saw the call by Tendai Biti for South African President Cyril Ramaphosa to intervene in Zimbabwe. And I think, let me play the video so that people see what I'm talking about, and then I'll ask you questions afterwards.
The attack on our president, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, is irrevocable proof beyond reasonable doubt, irrefutable proof beyond a shadow of doubt, that ZANU is a bloody, violent, fascist, illegitimate, tired and exhausted liberation movement. This is the message we have been trying to make to President Ramaphosa and to SADC, that Zimbabwe is a lawless country run by a tired, exhausted liberation movement that has no respect to constitutionalism, the rule of law, and the rights of its citizens.
Right. Very, very harsh words from Tendai Biti. What is your take on what Tendai Biti is saying? Is Zimbabwe in the state that Tendai Biti is saying?
Oh, thank you very much for that question, Gambakwe. I think emphatically I should say Tendai Biti's call is very, very timely, and for that matter, it is a clarion call which should be listened to, because the recent events, political events, have shown us that we might slide back into the yesteryear kind of events, violent events that we have seen in all the elections that have happened in Zimbabwe. And it would be unfortunate if the region, and particularly President Ramaphosa, would not take heed to this call. Why do I say so? The violence that we have seen in the previous week, which continues to happen as the political heat, if you like, continues to rise up because of the election that we are facing. It shows us that tensions are yet to rise. Remember, the movement for democratic change, as led by Advocate Chamisa, has had almost 2 to 3 years of being battered, being decimated, and basically they did not have any space to carry out political activities. But with the recent relaxing of the COVID regulations, we have seen like a resurgence in political activity, and it has all of a sudden shown how Nelson Chamisa still wields that power and support amongst the masses to show that he is truly the real alternative. And then what has been the response from ZANU-PF? The response has been what we have seen from last week up till today. We see that organized groups from ZANU-PF are disrupting those activities, and therefore it is indeed a very timely call, and a very necessary call that Tendai Biti makes to President Ramaphosa and to the region in general.
Okay, so I want us to put that thought on hold, and I want to go to what has happened today, which is the claim by the MDC Alliance that Chamisa has survived an assassination attempt. So this came out a few minutes ago, and they say a bullet flew through one window of the vehicle carrying President Nelson Chamisa and out through the other. This attempted assassination and use of gunshots on President Chamisa's vehicle and another that is part of his convoy are cause for concern. I don't know if you've seen this.
I'm actually seeing it, but the build up to this story, I've seen it from a brief news reports, yes.
Okay. So this week, there have been 2 other reports where people or members of the MDC say they've been attacked, abducted. This afternoon, there was a guy in Zaka, one of their MPs or councillors, who said that his wife was told to close the shop and the guy has disappeared. And then a few days ago, there was the guy that I showed you. I think I still have the video. One guy who said he was abducted and told to denounce Nelson Chamisa. I don't know if you saw that one. I think we can easily play that one if I still have it. I think let me look for that video. In fact, I think we'll play it. Right, you saw that one, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Are these convincing to you?
Look, Gambakwe, those do not have to be convincing to me, but what one can only say is that if the report that you put up from that tweet from the MDC Alliance Twitter handle is anything true and is verifiable, it is very much a cause for concern as we go through, or as we resume this election season, and justifies the call that is being made here by the Vice President of the Movement for Democratic Change for an early intervention, intervention by South Africa or the region to tone down those tensions. Well, as to the other reports, like I said, it is always surprising that our police service are quick to apprehend so-called, the people from the Movement for Democratic Change whenever there is something that has happened. Recently, I also saw a report that some 70 youths who were mobilizing in Chitungwiza are being sought after. We will see how that story develops. And for me, I don't have to be convinced by those videos, but there is no reason to refute them, because this is something that we have experienced in our elections over time. And history, as they say, has got a fit of repeating itself. So it is within the government's ambit to make sure that they put this into order and make sure that political temperatures do not rise. Gambakwe, I should say that I know that within our Zimbabwean body politic, there is a tendency to try and throw conspiracies and then say probably the MDC is fabricating. The MDC has never had that capacity to do this kind of things. But the clear point that is there is that what Tendai Biti is doing right now is actually the right thing, the mature thing to do, that we need help. Zimbabwe seems to start to burn again.
Okay, so I'm displaying now a tweet or a Facebook post by Hopo Chingono, where he's basically saying the same, that whoever is opposed to ZANU-PF, their life is in danger. Do you believe that this is the case?
Like I said, Gambakwe, it's not about me believing that this is the case. I always take you into history whenever we discuss such things and say what has been the nature of our politics, and particularly towards election time. What has been the characteristic feature of our elections if it is not violence? Violence has largely defined those elections like we were discussing last week. And I do not have any reason not to be concerned when such reports start to come out. But it is up to government, like I always tell you, it is up to government. When these things come out, we have police spokesperson, we have the government spokesperson. They must be quick to reassure people, to reassure the Zimbabweans first, the region and the international community at large as to what is happening, what they are doing to get down to the bottom of that. We can do our analysis, but look, as long as they are silent, those are the authorities. As long as they are silent, then one smells a rat.
Okay. Is it not a fact that the past election was very peaceful until after the elections? Chamisa was allowed to go everywhere in campaign.
Okay, Gambakwe, I think I gave you previous, in one of our previous discussions, I gave a sort of a definition of what we call election violence. You do not have to take one section of the election and then claim that the election was free or was fair. I told you that when you look at an election, it's a package. It's a package of a pre-election period, the election period itself, and the post-election period. Now, some of these things which happen in the pre-election period, they serve a purpose. One purpose they serve is to intimidate those that thought it is time to come out. Look, I know in Zimbabwe it has been difficult for activists of the MDC to walk around the streets wearing their regalia, putting up their political messages out there without facing a vindictive ZANU-PF. Now, when that happens, it means that even those who thought, oh, the situation has improved, would get back into their cocoons because they would think, no, nothing has changed. So the pre-election violence we are seeing now, its purpose is that it will cow, intimidate, and threaten even the new voters who would have wanted to come out thinking that this is the right period. Now we go to the real election period. Yes, it is normally, it can be a strategy of a ruling party to let the 2 days or a day of election to go free, or during the campaign period itself to say, let them be free, let them be seen to be moving around the country, right? And then, but remember, there are people who have already been threatened who are not willing to come out. And that is exactly what happened in 2018, that we saw a facade of a peaceful election because Nelson Chamisa could go here and there to campaign. But what tells you that it was not a free election was the post-election period. In fact, a day after the election itself, when you see civilians being gunned down in the street, what it tells you is that whatever the result, even if it did not go in the direction of the ruling party, then whoever would have tried to contest that result would think otherwise, because here are people who are being gunned down. What would you do? Go out and say, no, the MDC has won? No. So if you want to ask me if the 2018 election was free, if you want to say it was free and fair, I would tell you no. Look at the pre-election period, the election period, and the post-election period. In fact,
okay,
yeah.
All right. I want to show you something
Okay.
related to what you're saying. And I want us to dig a bit deeper into this. You know that there's an election in about 12 days here in South Africa.
Yes. Yes.
Right. I want to show you how many candidates have been killed this week in this election of South Africa. So I'm displaying to you here a search from Google. We have an ANC councillor who was shot while doing a door-to-door campaign. 2 more were shot, ANC councillors. And then 2 days ago, an EFF candidate was shot in Pietermaritzburg. And then a day ago, EFF councillor shot, and so on. I'm showing you here what is happening. And as I showed last week, about 87 councillors have been killed during campaign periods here in South Africa. And in Tswane, as we speak, many councillors are in hiding, candidates, because of assassinations. Like death, you die, you don't come back. And I want to show you what happened today when Chamisa was at Beshnaf Bridge. So allow me to show you quickly, and then we'll go to the next question. Right. That is 30 kilometers from my home village at Beshnaf Bridge. Chamisa has got young people running alongside his car freely. Do you see anyone there chasing him or killing anyone there?
I know, but Gambakwe, don't be selective. If I would show you in the same place you are showing me, where hordes and hordes of police were trying to stop him from doing his activities. I think you have to be fair there, so that when you give me a question, I will be able to answer it in a much more fairer way, without being seen to be siding with anybody.
No. The question I'm asking you, Doc, is that if the councillors are being killed in KZN, the candidates, yes. I'm not talking about voters here, candidates. Why does the South African politicians not ask Zimbabwe to intervene in South Africa?
Okay, look, Gambakwe, when you analyze the South African situation, you cannot then equalize it to the Zimbabwean situation. I will tell you, South Africa is a country basically that has been known for gun violence. South Africa is known for even within intra-party and inter-party, yes, there's been known to be that kind of violence, gun violence, which occurs. But the difference is that it is not state organized. It is not state influenced. You don't see these are clear, though political, but criminal cases of intra-party violence, which sometimes, which you see police attend to in all fairness. But when you look on our case, there has been a large, to a larger extent, state organized, or you see the party that is in power has, to a larger extent, been the one that has been perpetrating these things, to a point in which even the police has not been seen to be apprehending those people who would have done those things. So that is the difference there. So when we analyze the violence in South Africa, we cannot equate it to the Zimbabwean situation. One is state organized. The other one is a general culture of gun violence, which is treated as crime, and over time it has been treated like that.
Okay, are you saying today there is proof that the government went after Chamisa?
I am not saying that. I actually said to you that if that statement is true, then it is cause for concern. Everyone has to be worried. For which I said, therefore, the police service, it is the duty of the police service now to get down to the bottom of this, bring to book whoever has done it. As they always say, when MDC has done something or is accused of doing something, that the long arm of the law will catch up with such people. It shouldn't be short. That arm, we want it very long and let it be seen to reach out to those people who have done it. But once that arm seems to be chopped because it is the president of the MDC, then we get worried, then we get concerned. So it is still within the state's arms to deal with it.
Okay, so let me put it to you this way, Doc. In my own opinion, the MDC Alliance of Chamisa is playing the dangerous game of trying to provoke ZANU-PF into violence. And the way they're doing it is by creating these fake incidents. And this is not new. It has happened in other countries. Don't you believe that this could be the case?
Gambakwe, on that one, my short answer would be, it is your burden to prove. Like right now, you were asking me, can we prove that it is the state that has done it? So now that you are saying MDC is playing that dangerous game, the burden is on you to prove to us, to prove to your viewers that, look, this is the dangerous game that the MDC is playing. And once you do that, they are not beyond the law. And therefore, on that question, it's squarely on your doorstep. Prove it. And once you prove that they are doing that, I will be willing to listen and see. And just like we do, when we do our analysis, and we always say, whoever commits violence, election violence, political violence, whichever party they come from, whichever station in life they are not above the law. Then the law should reach, the long arm of the law should reach them. So prove it, Gambakwe.
Okay, so I won't even waste my time trying to prove what is going on here. What I would do is I'll let this run its course, because I've seen a lot about when we get to these important periods in Zimbabwe. I've seen quite a lot. I don't think anyone would miss if they wanted to shoot Chamisa from the state, because I think we underestimate the guys in the state. If they want to take out Chamisa, it won't be very difficult at all, especially in public places where he will be. That is one of the biggest points that I would like to make, that taking out a person like Chamisa is not difficult at all for trained people.
Again, I think that is speculative judgment that you are giving. It remains that speculative judgment. But what we are saying, or the right thing to do, is that the police or the arms of the state which are responsible for keeping law and order should get to the bottom of it.
Without a police report? Did they make a police report? Like right now, they went to Twitter and tweeted about it. Then Biti went and said he wants Ramaphosa to intervene. There's no police report. There is no proof that these incidents have ever happened. So how did the police just start to investigate something where there's no report?
Recently, we saw a viral video of a teacher beating a student. And just the fact of that video going viral, that teacher was apprehended, arrested, jailed with the promptness that should be applauded. Gambakwe, Zimbabwean police has been known, when they want to be very efficient and effective. It's said that there is politicization of these institutions. By the same token that we saw dealing with that viral video, they can use the same modus operandi in dealing with this. So it's a no-brainer.
Okay, I think let's leave this hanging at the moment and let's agree to disagree. I don't think if anyone wanted to kill Chamisa, they will find it difficult at all. Now let's go back to Tendai Biti.
But before you say that, I think that is a very dangerous statement by itself. We shouldn't even be thinking that it is easy or difficult to kill, and particularly a prominent person like President Chamisa. He deserves protection. He is working for democracy in the country, and he is an alternative. This is where democracy works. This is exactly like the kind of talk that it should be easy. It should not even exist at all, because
it's existing because they are putting out the narrative. Look at what Hopo is saying here. The reported assassination attempt on Zimbabwe's main opposition leader, Nelson Chamisa, right? That's Hopo then.
Gambakwe, do you realize the power of the freedom of speech? This is freedom of speech. Twitter, Facebook, and all these people are putting out their news to make sure that they tell people out there what is happening. But police do not work. I mean, police work with they are methodical. Once these things come out, they are the ones who must move in to investigate such. There are whistleblowers out there. How do they whistleblow? Sometimes they whistleblow through these channels. And I am saying you can never put the blame on those that are posting what has happened. You can only ask and interrogate those who have a constitutional right to start to investigate those things, to say, where are you? Why are you sleeping when this is reported? That is the issue.
If it is reported, and I think the MDC will never report it, I can guarantee you next week when you come here, I will show you that the MDC has not reported this to the police.
But with the nature of political violence is such that, Gambakwe, sometimes, especially in grave situations like these ones, the police must move in. They must move in, and especially to protect the integrity of the country. If we want to be, because already recently you were talking about sanctions and all that stuff, and these are the kind of situations, the kind of issues that has put Zimbabwe as a rogue. And I'm saying it is the business of the state to sanitize itself by making sure that they put in place all the procedures, the protocols, in order to investigate such things and sanitize our state. Otherwise, we continue to be regarded as a rogue state that has no rule of law, that does not follow the constitution, in which such things happen. And for me, as long as the police have not investigated and have brought out a statement to tell us what is happening, then there is no smoke without a fire. There is no smoke without a fire.
Okay, let's go back to Tendai Biti. What kind of outcome is he expecting from Ramaphosa?
Okay, a very good question. What kind of an outcome is he expecting from Ramaphosa? Look, South Africa has a historical, kind of duties that it has played in Zimbabwe. It has been participated in Zimbabwe negotiations over a period of time. I mean, even before the independence of Zimbabwe, I remember reading about John Vorster and Ian Smith. America had to force John Vorster to bear on Smith, and Smith had to back down. And fast forward to 2008, Thabo Mbeki came in as a mediator between the MDC and ZANU-PF, and actually that's when they pronounced their policy, which became known as the quiet diplomacy, which is a talk for another day, because there is a lot of stuff right there. And we have seen the coming in of Jacob Zuma. He continued with those negotiations. We saw people like Lindiwe Zulu, Ngakula, they were all coming to Zimbabwe for negotiations. And particularly the 2008 negotiations led to a GNU, because remember there was the disputed election at that time. The Zuma mediation continued to try to lower the temperatures which were existing then. And even after the coup in Zimbabwe, we saw President Ramaphosa sending an envoy to Zimbabwe, I think twice. And the idea was to push the Zimbabwe government to make reforms. The nature of reforms is well known, that is needed in Zimbabwe. Electoral reforms to make sure that the electoral field is fair. Economic reforms to make sure that there is a sort of control of that crisis in Zimbabwe. The human rights abuses that were rampant, there to make sure that the state protects its citizens. There were reports of torture, of abductions, and a whole myriad of problems that were there. And the idea for this dialogue was to make sure that any kind of such a dialogue will lead to a freer and fairer election. So I think Tendai Biti is informed by that kind of a past. So the intended outcome would obviously be to say, come and mediate before this gets out of hand. Let there be reforms, media reforms, electoral reforms. Let there be no violence. Let there be a peaceful environment when people are campaigning as we go towards the election. And let South Africa be the guarantor of that. And then we go to an election which would be observed by credible people, and then everyone can accept the results that come out of that. So yes, Tendai Biti's call is the right call. In fact, the most mature call so far that has been made by any official in Zimbabwe. I mean, political party official, and I think South Africa should take heed to that. The region should take heed to that and bring these two protagonists to the table.
Okay, so what Biti and by extension Chamisa is looking for is a dialogue that is supervised by South Africa, in short.
In short, let me tell you, what they are saying is that the problem in Zimbabwe is not only a foreign policy problem for South Africa. It is actually a domestic problem for South Africa itself. As long as we start to have this kind of activities, violent activities, and election violence, what will happen? The economy goes down again. It sinks further. What happens? The opposition will still be grieving, and when that happens, people will start to flee to South Africa. And our border infrastructure with South Africa is there is nothing at all. People walk through into South Africa, though through infested, crocodile infested Limpopo. But when they go there, what does it mean for South Africa? It means that for South Africa, it is a burden because they have undocumented immigrants there. Their social service delivery becomes overburdened because there is a lot of people from Zimbabwe there. What it means is that the crime rate of even caused by some undocumented people increases in South Africa. What does that mean? It means xenophobia continues to to rise in South Africa. The events of the past 2 months or 3 months in South Africa were not only events within South Africa itself. They were partly caused by a whole problem that has been caused because South Africa has not been very, very tough on its northern neighbor. So it is a problem for South Africa itself. And therefore, Tendai Biti and Nelson Chamisa, what they are saying is that if we are going to have a stable Southern Africa, a stable a region just between the two of us even, let's have the Zimbabwean crisis resolved. And you, South Africa, because you have a bit of leverage on the Zimbabwean government, come in and be the mediator. And besides, they have mediated before. And I think that, again, is a no-brainer why they are calling on South Africa to come in.
Okay. You remember the condition that President Mnangagwa set. In fact, there were two conditions. The first condition was that there would be no dialogue outside of Poland.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I think one of the ministers stated that before any dialogue can take place, Chamisa should recognize the win of President Mnangagwa. Do you think anything can happen if Chamisa does not change on those two conditions?
Look, I think if South Africa, it's unfortunate, though I will have to admit that it's unfortunate that at the present moment, South Africa is gripped by its own problems. It has just come out from a huge insurrection, of large proportions since its independence. And we have seen more than almost about 400 people dying, looting, burning of they've lost billions and billions of dollars, and they are still trying to recover from that. And the ANC itself is still, having struggles within itself, fighting within itself. You saw the division between President Zuma and his faction and the other faction in the ANC. So. And this obviously has got an impact on the upcoming local government elections, and therefore South Africa may not necessarily give the much needed attention. But once South Africa comes out of that, I think they are the only country that can nudge Zimbabwe, the Harare government, to come to the table. No matter what conditionalities can be put, I think there is a point to which the region and through South Africa can accept a deteriorating Zimbabwe. Because right now, as we are on a precipice. We are sliding, and it is not good. And South Africa, from what we have seen in their previous engagements, it looks like under President Ramaphosa, they've been a bit more critical than President Zuma and President Mbeki. We saw and heard the conversations that were had, even though there were conditions. But I think just when a right time or the right mobilization, the right rallying around these issues in Zimbabwe has come, I don't think those conditionalities that President Mnangagwa is giving will make sense, because that negotiation will be a matter of life and death for both the countries, for both the citizens of both the countries, because it is a problem for Zimbabwe and for South Africa indeed. And okay. I should add and say, again, it is not necessary. It is my wish that the government in Zimbabwe should be advised that it is not in putting up such positions, such strong positions that can move Zimbabwe forward. Let the president be a statesman that he is, and reach out so that he finds himself with the real opposition. That is the real opposition in Chamisa, and let him reach out to him rather than to reach out to Bernard Mteki, rather than to reach out to Love Momaduku, who cannot even amass 5 people at a rally. Let's be real in the politics in Zimbabwe, Gamba.
Okay, Doctor, I think I want to use your words in terms of what you said last week, that there is a lot of laziness to think. Some of our people, they are lazy to think. You really think Chamisa can bring President Mnangagwa to the table without recognizing him and outside of Poland, and do so through the president of another country? I think this is the height of laziness and also
President
lack of
Chamisa,
strategy.
no, in fact, that is critical thinking that Chamisa is showing, because President, all that President Tsvangirai needed to do in 2008 was to withdraw from a violent election, and he did not participate in it. President Mugabe went ahead lonely and became the single candidate there. He went into an election. He declared himself a winner. He inaugurated himself. And the Morgan Tsvangirai, what did he do? He did not recognize Robert Mugabe. And he was dragged to the table by his neck. The same can happen. This guy thinks.
Okay, I think let's conclude this topic. Obviously, you think that Tendai Biti is justified to make this call, and on my part, I say this will never see the light of day. President Ramaphosa will never intervene in Zimbabwe. From my understanding of the situation, I just think the MDC Alliance, their strategy around this is very, very weak, especially their understanding of the dynamics in the region, and also their understanding of violence. I don't think they understand what violence is when they are putting it out to the public to say there's violence. I don't think they understand what can move the international community. What is currently happening, I don't think it's worth anyone intervening in Zimbabwe.
Gambakwe, whether I slap you, I decide to slap you. If people can see me slapping you here on the on TV, or I decide to take a machete and cut you, and then you want to say the slap he gave me is not violent, but it is the machete he held. That's a wrong view of it. What Tendai Biti is doing, I said, is a very mature thing, because he is seeing history repeating itself. And he is making a very clarion call earlier, before things have gotten out of hand. And you see, this is exactly where true leaders can be separated from those who are there just for the sake of power. So I honestly think that I didn't say President Ramaphosa will come, but we have seen the envoy come to Zimbabwe twice. But like I said, it will depend on how this will unfold, what we are seeing, and how the politics within South Africa itself will unfold, and to give South Africa that high moral ground to come. But within the geopolitics of the two countries, this is the right thing to do. This is the right call that has been made. And it is up to South Africa now to really, really start to look at how to help the situation in Zimbabwe. And like I said, because the problem in Zimbabwe is a problem in South Africa, and that is a reality. That is the reality of these two countries. And so we will wait to see. But remember, it's not going to be about South Africa alone. We have seen so many changes in the region, and we have talked about it. And probably we shall start to see, as we go on, other voices. Let's hear what they have to say. Let's hear what Malawi will also have to say about this. Let's hear what Zambia will start to say about this. Let's start to hear what Tanzania will say about this. The whole region, I'm sure, for the sake of peace, we would want to hear some sober voices. Mozambique is burning today. It is burning because there is a dangerous situation going there, and we have seen leaders coming around to help a neighbor, and I'm sure Zimbabwe deserves that.
Right, Doctor, thank you very much for joining me this week. And this was quite an interesting topic because it's developing as we speak about it. So obviously next week there'll be new developments. Is there anything else you want to say before we close?
Yeah, Gambakwe, thank you very much. No, I would probably just reiterate your words that it's a developing story. But if what the reports we are hearing are anything to go by, I wish to say that to our leaders, to our political leaders, both in ZANU-PF and in the MDC, let's try to work out and find each other, and particularly in ZANU-PF, which is the governing party, let them mobilize the necessary institutions to be professional and to go down and investigate this and make sure that no violence occurs as we get into this do or die election. Let the people of Zimbabwe be allowed to associate with whosoever they want, to campaign and to spread their political messages in a free and safe environment, and let Zimbabwe come out of this tag that we are the sick men of the region, we are the rogue of the region. We are proud people. We want to get back to our position as a shining beacon of not only of Southern Africa but of the rest of Africa.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We'll see you again next Tuesday.
Thank you very much, Gambakwe.
Uko kuno abo